second.
This conference will now be recorded. This conference is no longer being recorded.
Oh, hold on. I don't know what happened here.
Changed his mind.
Hey, Luis, how are you? Thanks for calling me. We're ready to get on the meeting here, but that's okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you, the meeting tomorrow, do you guys have that in person or is it all Zoom?
Whenever you're ready, Marty.
I don't know where it went. Hold on a second.
See, that's happened to me before.
Get your convoy. Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
We'll get it. What I'm going to do
Okay, I
is
think I got it now.
Yeah. Thanks, Marty. Thanks, Marty. Call to order the work session in the city of Trinidad at 9:02.
All right. Okay. All right. Bye.
Marty, do you want to do roll call?
Campbell?
Here.
Chris? Liddell?
Oh, I keep thinking you're
Here.
calling.
Michaels?
Here.
And Miller?
Here.
Good
Thank
morning,
you.
everybody. Does anybody have any petitions or communications?
We have no guests today, Cy, so we do not have any unless the mayor has anything to say.
No, I do not. I don't have anything today.
Okay.
Thank you, Marty. Items for discussion, the contracting of the marketing entity.
So, as you might have seen, for those that are new to the tourism board is required under the city's municipal code to contract with a proven marketing entity to handle all marketing and advertising for the tourism board. You actually have that fulfilled with a contract with Studio 6, who is reproducing the tourism guide. So you're following procedures. However, I wanted to bring it up again because there's such a minimal amount being spent out of that contract services line item that there's a significant amount, the balance after this is paid, that I wanted to give you the opportunity to, if you wanted to do another contract with another marketing entity, you absolutely could. Or if you're happy with the way things are right now, then we'll just go forward with business as usual. But I wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thanks, Marty. Open discussion.
What is defined as a marketing entity? I mean, are you talking about somebody that does all the marketing, or like a billboard company?
Yeah, good question, Chris. It could be a combination of both. Currently, what we're doing is a little bit of both. In the past, at times, we have awarded a grant that's worth $200,000 to one marketing entity and let them take it all on themselves. The big part about that is that we're paying for a lot of labor that way, and currently we support about 25% of Marty's salary. Is that correct, Marty?
Yes.
And Marty helps so much, and she's connected with the city, and she knows what we've done in the past, and she's current. So instead of doing contracts and spending more labor on other people, what we have done in the last couple of years is do sort of a combination of both. But at any one point, we could change that and have one person do all of our marketing, and that person would recommend to us what they think we should do with their education, and we just follow them basically and give them ideas, but they give us ideas. So either way can be done. I'm open to either way. It's just what we get a bang for our buck. The board works harder and Marty works harder when we do things in pieces, but then we get more bang for our buck. So Marty, do you have any current recommendations on things that you are seeing out there or how we should be in reference to this?
I'm not quite sure what you mean, Si.
Like, do you think we should go to and farm around and look for a marketing entity that does everything for us? Or do you feel that what we're doing currently?
1450.
I think we're doing a really good job right now, Si. We're all over the place. We're fulfilling all of we're saturating the market, all of our advertising. We've actually extended ourselves quite a bit with connections with the Denver Post, who is writing articles about us, and all the excitement about Fisher's Peak has also been giving us a lot of marketing without having to spend any dollars. So I really think we're really out there. I don't think we need to spend any more money to hire somebody to do that for us.
And Chris, we've been really blessed with having Marty there for us because she knows the city so well and knows, you know, when we have our hiccups, she knows where the hiccups are at. Mayor, how do you feel about it?
Well, like I said, I think that, you know, that's up to, you know, the commission to decide how they want to do that. If Marty feels like you're doing a good job the way it is right now, that's, like I said, that's entirely up to you because you guys see what you are spending and how it's being spent. And if you're saturating the market, and I think Marty is right, we've been getting actually a lot of free publication or publicity with the Fisher's Peak, and so that's hitting pretty much Trinidad overall. So I think, like I said, that's up to you guys, but from what I'm seeing, there's a lot of additional publicity that's being given to us without you expending any money.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Thanks. But about a contract in itself, and I don't know if this is the time to go there. One thing I'd like for us to think about is, you know, restaurants, especially in the major cities right now, are educating the public on their QR codes. So they're putting QR codes right in the middle of tables that are sitting outside, so you don't need a menu and you don't need to touch it. And then the tourism board, about 8 or 9 years ago, we started doing QR codes, but the public didn't understand that. And so now to have QR codes downtown published in places, people get it, that a whole page pops up when you use it. So it's not the time for a conversation for that, but if everybody could kind of pay attention to QR codes, because I think they're going to be more of our future. I'm seeing them in the hotel industry incredibly now.
I agree with that. We started trying to use one down in Texas, 5 or 6 years ago, and the public wasn't ready for it. And I think it's just taken time, and we might watch and start including one of our own. So, but yeah. It takes a little while after those things are launched for the public to get into it. So.
Yeah, and so what I mean by the QR code too is not only that we could use them in the downtown areas when we have a magazine article. And by the way, Marty, all those magazine articles that you put out, I thought they were all really good, current and different. Is that we might have at the bottom of a page a QR code that automatically goes to our website because people are just starting to use them more, and you know that would make our website more current. Chris, with your marketing background, what do you think now that you've been on the board a few months? What do you think that we could improve on, or where we need to go that we're not right now?
Oh, I first of all, I agree that it seems the board, you know, is doing a good job with Marty's guidance. Obviously, Marty's doing the lion's share of work on it, but I have seen with other boards and councils that if you do turn it over to an entity to try to do all of it, the board gets lazy, and you know, even your executive director or your marketing director can get lazy, and you lose that control, and down the road you go, you know, hey, we need to bring this back in house. I like the idea it's in house, and we can pick and choose and look at different things. That makes sense.
I think we're very fortunate. Marty, her background has got the chamber and other entities within the city or representing the city. So she's really good when there's something that happened. She knows how it's either happened in the past or how she can improve on it. So.
Well, and I hate to talk about her with her sitting there looking at me, but she listens too. So that you know, yeah.
So, thanks, Chris. Amanda, how do you feel about it?
Thanks. I think so long as we're fulfilling the need that's in writing, that I do agree, which case by case basis. If we did, like for instance, we did something like the visitor guide, we knew that was going to be a big task. We needed to hire somebody else to take care of it. And as we go forward, I think I would like to see some sort of video. I don't really know what I'm envisioning, but I'm envisioning something, down the line that's a really great thing to share online, or something that can be viral and move around like social media. So I mean, and that's something we would probably need to hire an outside company to take care of. But if we kind of hone in on what the skills that we've got and the talent that we've got, then we should just utilize that. And then when something big comes along that we need additional help with, we can hire professionals and we can get that done.
I have a question, Marty. That video that Dana Crawford did that we used, I think I found it on Visit Trinidad. Can we alter that any? Can we use it, add to it, put any information? We can't make any changes on it. I mean, it looks good like it is.
We have permission to use it. Dana gave me permission to put it on the website. But I mean, it's done and finished, and it really does belong to Dana, even though she's allowed its use. So we would have to design our own, produce our own at some point. But we get a lot of comments when I get
that
feedback.
Is well done.
And I'm looking at the feedback that we have on our Facebook page and on our website. A lot of people comment on that video, and so we've got a lot of hits on it, a lot of comments.
Yeah, it looks very good. I had just thought if we could even put a little bit more information, even put, if we did a QR code, something like that on that video, it would be foolish to spend a lot of money to make another video. Yeah, that one's already done, and it's so good. So.
Yeah, and that speaks volumes, Chris, with your background. So thanks for that input. Camilla, how do you
Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead, let Camilla first.
I just think, I think we're doing a very good job. And Marty, how I feel about you. I love you, dear. You do a wonderful job. And I think more and more as Fisher's Peak does open, we are going to get a lot more. We're going to be seen a lot more through Colorado, period. And our advertising is just going to grow and grow more, because there's a lot of people talking about Trinidad. And I think it's just our we're going to be out there for a while, and it's going to happen. And we probably could just, we're doing a good job.
Okay.
So I think everything is going wonderful. I really do. I see a great improvement in our tourism board, and thank you guys, all of you. It has been wonderful.
Thanks, Camilla. Mayor?
Well, a couple of things I just want to mention is, that keeping it in-house, a couple of things that it does do is you have more of a direct line with the city at any given time. There's no lag time if something were to come up. And also you're able to react, but you're also able to react more quickly to changes, because if someone is handling that for you, it's got to go through them, and then you got to approve it, and then may go back to them, and then back to you, and then so it could stall by the time it's ready to go. So I think you have the ability to have a quicker response to changes.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I agree with you. I agree. Okay. So just keep that in the back of the mind. Marty bringing that up is an excellent point. We all need to contract with some marketing entity outside the city, and every year for for deals like that. The really huge projects, we like to do that and have Marty work with them individually. Because if we had Marty do some of those programs, she would be so overwhelmed with all the duties she already has. The Tone Visitor Guide, the ad review.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just have one more question about it that just thought of. What happens next year when we don't have a visitor guide to produce? Do we still keep a contract with Studio 6? Do we need to find another marketing entity?
Well, yeah, but what will end up happening is based on whatever the board wants and recommendations, we put an RFP out for some marketing product that we need done, be it a visitor guide or be it all the different walking tours and all the different amenities of the city of Trinidad. We would market what's accomplished. Or
wouldn't our inserts continue on though with them?
well, it would, but I mean, there's lots of other different ways. We've also marketed a little bit locally with. For a while, we did the newspaper, and they oversaw some of our stuff. There's been different marketing products that we've had that we've engaged somebody to have a contract with.
Yeah, the Chronicle News fulfilled that piece as well when they were managing our Facebook page. So it can be small contracts that will allow you to fulfill that requirement by the municipal code. So it doesn't have to be a large contracted entity that's going to cover the whole shebang. Even little pieces will fulfill that requirement.
And the benefit of that is if you got a board that really that want to just hound down and keep their money and not talk to people, it wouldn't allow them to grow if they weren't forced to go out and talk to marketing entities every year. And I think that's one of the main reasons why that clause is in there, is so that you don't end up with a stodgy board who just doesn't do it. But I mean, we're hip, we're current, Marty's out there. Anybody that we want her to contact, she contacts people that contact her, she brings to the table for us. She does everything and better than a contract would for the reasons the mayor said, because she's connected with the city and it brings it back into what's right and what's wrong and what our display is and what we want to put out there.
All right, thank you guys.
I agree.
I have a question about the Facebook page. I don't even know if this is the right place to put it. Who's managing it right now? Okay. Do you feel comfortable doing it all the time, or should we get someone to, my thought was, what is our relationship? Well, I'm sure it's good with the college, and is there an opportunity there to get some of these younger, more social networking minds involved in maybe doing something like that, and just keeping it up to date, constantly posting pictures.
That is
a good idea, but
Marty, maybe we could put for it. That's a great point. Get a hold of the college and see if. Go ahead, Camilla.
No, that's right. You could continue. I'm sorry, you're talking over each other. Go ahead. I just feel that I
think that's a great point. To have college. I'm sorry, Camilla.
Okay, I'm going to go. Depending on who does it at the college, are they familiar with it enough, like Marty is? And because she's involved with the city, like that. I mean, we could maybe have them work with us with some ideas from the college of what's happening in sports, but
is there a marketing department? Is there a marketing class or marketing anything at the college? I haven't looked at their curriculums.
Well, our college really has a lot of different classes, and I'm sure there would be one. If we were to engage in that, it would be goodwill with the college too to have maybe young kids give us ideas or give those ideas to Marty, and Marty could decide on the posting of them or not. But I to be partners with the college, the tourism board, and to get some young kids to look into tourism and what should be posted, and give that to Marty at no cost except for good partnership and goodwill, and have everybody feel great about it. I do think there's probably, Chris, there's some young kids at the college that know social marketing, and for them to work with Marty, and Marty have those extra hands and those extra ideas, I think it's a great idea.
Now that I think is a good idea to work.
Yeah, I think, Marty should still oversee it, obviously,
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
make sure what's going in there. But I know that the task of keeping it updated, keeping posts going, answering things, putting pictures on, doing things to make it fresh all the time, which makes it, go out to everybody that's following it every time we make the change.
Right.
That more activity, that takes a lot of time, and it would be great, if we had something like that, and Marty oversaw it to make sure, we knew what was going in there. I guarantee you there are college kids that know Facebook.
Yeah, no, that's great. Marty, how do you feel about that?
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. Really, if it's going to be managed by somebody, or there's going to be posts made, it needs to be made by somebody who has a connection with tourism board, so that, if I'm still going to oversee every post that goes in, I might as well be making them myself. I'm still spending that amount of time to oversee it. So it needs to be, if there's somebody that's going to be making posts on the Facebook page, then it needs to be somebody that's connected with tourism somehow, so that they know what needs to go up. They're active in the community. They're promoting the businesses. They're promoting the restaurants. They're promoting the events. They're talking about things happening in the community. I think a college student doesn't have that connection, because they're more than likely from somewhere else. They're probably not a Trinidad resident, and they don't have that direct connection or that tourism mindset. So it'd still take a lot of oversight to make sure that everything was being done right. So the time expended overseeing their work would be the same amount of time that I'm spending right now, unless it was somebody, like I said, directly connected.
Right. So I guess with that, then what we could say is just everybody on the board, really keep your eyes open to what if you think there's could be something posted that maybe Marty's not aware of, to give more feedback to Marty, because exactly what you said, Chris, we don't, sometimes people get a little lazy when they're on boards, and they don't get charged back up if they're not engaged. Be engaged with our community, and when you see something that you think should be posted, let Marty know. And that might make our page more fresh, but us more engaged too, because that's what we're all supposed to be. We're all supposed to be flags. When you serve on a board, you're supposed to be a flag for that board. So if we see there's any challenges and things that we think that we need to post, let Marty know. She'll do it right away.
Yeah, I just need more eyes and ears out there.
Yeah. And Chris, with your background, I would really appreciate you looking at our stuff and letting Marty know if you think we need to go into an area that one of us aren't seeing it. Because, we need, not any one of us can see everything that's going on in Trinidad. We need each other.
And that being said, Chris, let me just add one thing. If you feel that you have the time to spend on posting stuff on the Facebook page, I can make you an editor of the page, and you can make posts on your own without having to go through me. Same with you, Amanda, and everybody can make posts. All I have to do is make you an editor of the page.
I like that idea. If anybody wants to jump in.
Yeah, if we all can make posts directly, and I think the board obviously knows what is appropriate and what is not. And the more activity that you get on Facebook with people posting, the more people it goes out to, and sharing, and all the little things you do. And the only reason I was thinking about a college student is because I've used them before as interns, and if that's all they're doing, it's amazing the things they can find and the things they can do. But I didn't have a Marty Hackett either, so.
Right. Okay, well, that sounds great, everybody. Be engaged. Be
And
engaged.
also, guys, when Marty does post it, try to share it. That's a big thing. We have to try to share that Marty posts, because we all have different friends and they go different places, these posts. So try to share as much as you possibly can from the Visit Trinidad.
Yeah, and the other side of that is finding a way to do something with the college where they feel like they're involved, and just get that access if it's even available. I don't know what else is out there. Facebook was the only thing I could think of this time.
Right. I think we're starting to dabble a little bit in Instagram, but I don't think we're there yet. Are we, Marty?
I think we
We do
should
have an
be.
account.
Yeah.
We do have an account. I've just never been able to get into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you were able to make us admins on the pages, I think it'd be a lot easier for us to have access to what's getting posted, and I think that's a must. I think we would all have much more involvement if we were able to see what gets posted and have access to it. And I've been seeing like a bunch of tourism pages on Instagram. I think Raton has one. I know I follow the one for Santa Fe. There's a couple around the country that I follow, and they're really sweet. So that could be something we could consider. And Instagram, I think, is a better way to get access to younger people. So
Marty, the Instagram, what is it under on Instagram for the Trinidad? Is it Visit?
I haven't.
Trinidad?
No, Discover Trinidad. So it was created when Jonathan was here, and I
Right.
can't get
And it-
access to it.
Rather than Visit?
Well, that just went along with the whole identity of the tourism at that time. It was all Discover Trinidad and the Way Out West and that kind of thing. So that's where the account is, and I haven't been able to get into it. So we might just have to create a new account under Visit Trinidad. I think that's probably what we need to.
Well, and they need to all be
Just
consistent anyway.
Visit Trinidad, like our logo. Right?
Right.
Hey, Si, this is Phil. Couple of comments. One of the things that you were just talking about, Instagram and Facebook, and they have all these other media pieces that are out there. One thing I'm hearing is that Marty and the board overall, you guys have a lot of work to do. So I think be careful as to how much work you're piling on. And it's better to be able to control one or two rather than to have multimedia outlets, even though they're all, they all have their reasons for being there. But maybe it's better to be successful in one or two outlets rather than having several. So just be careful with that.
Okay.
The other thing I was going to mention, getting back to when the conversation first started about Studio 6 and the marketing guide. From my understanding, is it true that you said that next year you will not be using Studio 6 to do your marketing guide? And if that's the case, do they own the rights where you guys can take that marketing guide and just do a few addendums to it and reproduce it yourselves?
Well, in the past, that's a good question, Mayor. In the past, we have done that with them on some marketing guides and went back to them and didn't have that huge cost. Instead, we went back and said, and Marty could explain that more because she's the one that's worked on that. But Marty, why don't you go ahead and explain what you've done about redoing certain pages and having them reprinted, but not the whole guide?
Right, so we just made revisions and updated the visitor guide as it existed. And do we own the piece? Yes, we do. It is actually it is a piece that belongs to the tourism board. So we can take that away and revise it as we need to. However, Studio 6 has been really good about, especially this year when we just wanted revisions, the costs that were associated were really, really reasonable. And I mean, they said that, you know, we would only be able to go back and forth a couple of times and only do this, and we can only do that. And in the long run, this project has been going on for about 2, maybe 3 months now, and they've put no limits on us. So they've made all the changes that we've requested, last minute changes that we've needed to make. They have given us ownership to and produced a PDF for us at no cost. They also produced a small video that we can use on social media. So even though we don't, I don't know how to say it, we don't need to print a new guide. At some point, we've established a relationship with Studio 6 right now, where if we decided that we wanted to go with a whole new format, new design and everything like that, I think the relationship that we've had with Studio 6 would be something that we would absolutely continue, because they've really been good with us.
Well, one thing you may want to consider possibly is that instead of going, because from what I understand, that cost to them is pretty big, is do they have a reduced cost for helping, just for producing a couple of different things that, you know, would help you keep that, it'd help you keep that connection with them, but also help you to be able to produce some of that information you need produced?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we sure do. Thank you for asking, Mayor.
Okay, very good, guys. So Marty, to full circle that, you were gonna put the whole tourism board as people that can post?
Yep. I will be making you all no, I don't think it's called administrator. I think it's an editor. So everybody will be editors. And I will do that by the end of the week.
Okay, thank you so much, Marty. Thanks for your
You're
work.
welcome.
Return visitor guide ad review. Everybody had a chance to look at that?
Yep, and we decided, is that a half page?
It is.
That's going to be on the same page as the story they're writing, or right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
I'm good with it. Looks good.
Okay.
Very good. Any other comments?
On the ad itself, and this may just be me, but overwhelm bothered me.
Too much text or too big of a picture, or what?
Oh, it says, and let us overwhelm you with our small town charm. I don't know. When I read it, it was just, it hit me funny. And it may have just been I hadn't had my coffee yet, but.
What would you suggest?
Well, something simpler, even if you brought experience back in experience, our small town charm, or somehow to add to that. I don't have a good answer for it. Just overwhelmed sounded like, oh my gosh, we're going to be overwhelmed. And again, that may just be lack of coffee, but something for Marty to think about.
Right. Anybody else have any other input?
I'm trying
You
to.
could pull back in the experience part of it and kind of tie the top and the bottom together. I think that would work.
Say again.
Like Chris said, to tie in, like the header of the ad, the experience, the wonders of a small town, something that could kind of tie that top and bottom part together.
But if you say experience our small town, it's basically saying the same thing as the top part.
Yeah.
Well, it is, but if you say, experience, the experience is our charm, or something like that.
Or just leave that bottom part out, and just leave it with the top, and your 4 bullet points there with some explanation, and leave that bottom part out. Wouldn't be bad either, because you still have small town.
Or just put enjoy our small town charm. Just something very
Or-
simple.
Or just put Trinidad, Colorado again right there. I realize you got it on under the picture, but I don't know. And I'm not going to be bummed out if you leave overwhelming. And so,
Okay.
Okay.
I'll see what I can do for you, Chris. Okay?
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, advertising report 2021.
So in your packet, I included everything that has been decided by the tourism board to go forth with advertising and publications for 2021 to date. So I made a spreadsheet that included the total budget, what has been paid so far, and what has been encumbered. So to date, we have the Colorado Tourism Office State Vacation Guide, has been paid for, and it has been published. So if you care to take a look at that, we have both the winter guide for 2021 and the summer guide for 2021. I have copies of both in my office, so you can take a look at that. You authorized a quarter page in USA Today, Hunt and Fish. Mountains and Mesas should be coming out soon. Colorado Life will be coming out in July. Adventure Outdoors in the spring. True West Magazine, we have 3 different ads going in that one. In April, June, and September. The Raton Visitors Guide, which you just looked at. And the National Parks Colorado Journal, I just received that one, so it's been published already too. And then in addition to that, I was contacted by Colorado Life after talking to my connection with Colorado Life, the person that I designs and things like that. She contacted me and said, we decided we were going to run a feature article on the Santa Fe Trails Bicentennial. And it'll be in a 2-page, maybe 3-page spread. And she says, I'm not sure yet. It might end up only being 1 page, but in any case, we're doing a feature article in Colorado Life in March and April. Yeah, I believe it's March and April edition. And she said, would the tourism board like to advertise in that alongside of that article? Well, she gave me a deadline of yesterday. And so I said, I can't, I have to pass this through my tourism board. I said, I'm not sure. I said, can you give us a discount on it if we do this? And she said, well, it's $2,500 for the ad for a full page. And I said, I don't think so. I said, that's kind of steep. I said, seeing as how we're doing a $1,600 ad, you gave us a price of $1,600 for the July ad. I said, why couldn't you give us the $1,600 for this ad? And she said, well, let me get back with you and see what I can do. So she did. She said, yes, we can do the $1,600 for you, but I need the ad by end of day, and I needed it approved. So I called Tom. And I told him, I have this authorization to spend $2,000 with your approval. I said, but I wanted you to take a look at that and see what you thought. And he said, yes, he approved it. So we have an additional ad coming in March and April issue of Colorado Life that will run alongside the feature story of the Santa Fe Trail Bicentennial. And it'll be a bicentennial ad with the dates for our commemorative event in September. And I got them down to $1,600.
Wow, save us $900. See, enough for another ad. Thank you, Marty. That was fantastic.
Very good.
I've gotten real slick at this.
You've got.
Okay. Well, I love that all that is out there. That's such a great job, and there's so many periodicals that you've signed up there. That might be a little bit of a news story for either for Facebook or for the newspaper, like, the City of Trinidad's Tourism Board has contracted with all these magazines to get information out on Trinidad for the summer or something. There's something to be said there, Marty, because I know it seems easy when you're saying that, but all the phone calls and all the pictures that you look out to put out those ads. And I really want the citizens of our community to know how hard you're working to put those out. So I don't know if you want, that might be a little bit of a Facebook posting.
Yeah, Si, to follow up on that, you could have a link to each of those ads, because I'm sure they all have an online presence.
Yeah.
But, so that's just more publicity, more postings, more people.
And education.
Right.
So when you educate people by your ads that don't see those ads normally, you educate them about the benefits of Trinidad and what's going on. So I would encourage that, Marty. I know you don't like always blowing your horn or whatever, but you're helping our community tremendously when you have dealt with all those newspapers and all those phone calls and all those negotiated rates and all those pictures and all those fonts. I know it goes behind there, and I think it's really good for the citizens to know how hard you are working for tourism for Trinidad. So that's my insight.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Well, you're going to have a big ad by the end of.
Yeah, I know.
I know it's not fit in this room. It's going to be huge. So that being said, you have a balance. I'll have to add that $1,600 to that encumbrance line. And so your balance would be 24,730 minus 1,600, and I'll revise that for you. But just keeping you up to date on your figures in on your balance sheet for all of your line items. This is one of them.
So with that, I'm hearing that you're telling us that we have $25,000 that we haven't contracted yet for that in our item. And is there any ads in any periodicals that you would recommend that we start looking at?
No, because out of this budget, you have to pay for the printing of the visitor guide.
Oh, yeah.
That comes out of this one. That's why we increased it from last year. Last year, our advertising and publication budget was $45,000, and we increased it to $60,000 so we could cover the costs of printing the visitor guide. So you should balance out. You might be a couple $100 over, but we can always pull that from another line. But no, we are expended for our advertising for this year, unless you wanted to move money from your outside contract services line into advertising and publications.
So I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
What's our situation with billboards?
We have 2 billboards right now. We have the digital billboard in Canyon City, and we have 1 billboard between Walmart and the city exit 14.
Okay. When are we due on our work on those? Is it new? I haven't asked this question yet.
No, it's a good question. We're probably ready here in the next few weeks to clean up our boards or rewrap them. Or what do you say, Marty?
Probably. The one in Canyon City does need to be changed out. I'm working on that one now, and I'll have a kind of a revision for you to review the next couple of weeks. And the one in, I think it doesn't expire until April, Si.
Okay.
Let me look real quick.
Hey Marty, while you're looking Tom, I talked to him, was it last week or week before, and he was a little concerned about that one billboard that was south of town that is kind of dilapidated. It's coming from
Welcome Center billboard?
I don't know if it's a Welcome Center billboard or what it is, but he was mentioning something. You might get asked to talk to him about that.
Marico, I think you might be referring to the Highway of Legends billboard that's south of I-20, south of Tequila's on I-25.
That may be. It's like I said, it's on the east side of the highway, I think, coming toward town.
Yep.
Well, you
And,
might
Oh,
I,
that
not-
is the Highway of Legends Board.
Legend, yeah.
and I think we did talk about that in that Highway of Legends board in one meeting, and nobody seemed to know who had control of it or.
So it's not one of our boards?
It's not one of our boards, I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. And I have a meeting with the Highway of Legends group. I think it's next week. I'll bring that to their attention and find out what the status is on that, Mayor.
I think it would be good, anything that we could do to dress up, especially with the Santa Fe Trail 200th anniversary, anything that we can do to dress up, any of that type of stuff would be probably good.
Right.
You know, Highway of Legends has no funds right now at all, so I know they don't have the funds to redo that Highway of Legends board.
Would would the tourism board be able to do something with that to extend, that to them? That would be something that your board and commission would have to see if it's doable or not.
Who pays for it if it's still up there and if they still have it and they don't have money? That's what we need to find out for, because maybe we can take it over, for us, because it's been up there for a long time.
It has.
It has.
Let me find out the particulars and I'll report back to you.
Yeah.
And then maybe if you wanted to discuss helping them out with that billboard, then we can put it on the next agenda.
I
Going-
did have, go ahead.
I was just going to give you the renewal date for the Welcome Center billboard is not until August.
Okay. But if
Can
we wanted and we wanted to pay the fee, we could do a new wrap for the summertime, Chris, just for background information. So I don't know what that looks like. I'll look at it again today. Everybody take the time to go look at it and see if so a wrap would cost somewhere between $600 and $1,200, depending on the size of the sign. If we wanted to re-wrap a board that we're paying for because we don't feel like it's being utilized the right way because of, weather or something has hurt it, and then we could let Marty know if we think we need to review something.
Who designed that particular board?
Which board?
The Welcome Center board?
The Welcome Center board.
I did.
Okay, I was trying not to hurt anybody's feelings, but I had to drive by it twice to figure out what it was saying. Yeah, if we can look at getting some new artwork on it, get a new wrap. Again, this personal opinion, pushing people to stop at a visitor center is harder to do than pushing people to stop at a beautiful small town of Trinidad. And do we have to say stop the visitor center? I mean, can we just say, oh yeah, and that's available too? Because a lot of people don't care. They drive by and see that cool looking little town on the right with that looks like you just popped back into the early 1900s, or I don't know. I just feel like we're not trying to pull them off the road as much as we could.
I feel where the Welcome Center sign is, if they're not going to stop in Trinidad and they're going 80 miles an hour, a sign isn't going to pull them off. But if they were coming to Trinidad anyway and realized we have Welcome Center, that might be the first place they go to for information, because that sign is so close to Trinidad right now that if you're not gonna pull them off the highway with any kind of sign right there. They've already made their destination. So
if they're going 80, they're going to get stopped. Anyway.
You're already heading north. So I do think but let people know we do have an information center that they could go to.
Yeah, I disagree a little bit, Camila. I see where you're coming from on it, but if they're going to the information center, they're going to go there anyway. I don't think that's too quick when you're driving up. If it's a nice, simple sign that they go, oh, here's Trinidad. This is where we wanted to stop last year. Remember? I mean, there's there's lots about, it depends on what you write on it, what you put on it. It's got to be very simple, very, you look at it, if nothing else, like the big word stop. This is Trinidad, get off. You know, I mean, that's kind of blunt, and that's not really what you'd say, but something like that.
I understand that, but one of the biggest things is we're trying to get people to go to our welcome center to build up our visitors at welcome center. And I think to let that go, if they're coming to Trinidad anyway, they're coming to Trinidad, but maybe they need to know that they have a welcome that they could go in. During this COVID, of course, we were closed a lot, but people like to know different things about information centers. I have people come in my store and ask me all the time. So
about where to go and stuff, or
yes, and I direct them to the visitor center. They have everything. Always.
I think it's worth more discussion.
Sorry, this is Phil. I heard something that I'm not sure if it was Chris or Camilla was saying that sign was very close to the exit coming into Trinidad. Is it in the wrong place, and can it be moved back?
Yeah, I wish we could. I guess there's always the opportunity to look at that, Marty, and we could call the sign company and find out, but usually the sign laws in the state of Colorado are so tight. But on the east side, they're much easier than on the west side of the road. On the west side of the road, there's a lot of laws on covering up the mountains, and that's why going from Trinidad to Pueblo, you see so many right-hand reads because you're going northbound. That's the east side of the road. And you don't see so many on the west side of the road because there's all these laws about I-25. And I just know that from having hotels over the years, placing signage out there too. There's all these sign laws, but that's a good point, Phil. So Marty, could we look into if that sign, if there's any other sign that's open, or if that sign could be movable?
Yes. I doubt they'll relocate the position of this current sign, but we can look at other billboards that are standing, see if any of them are ready for a renew that we could do instead.
Okay. Yeah, no, that would be great. Thank you, everybody. And Chris, I would say if you think of something different, to engage Marty and have a conversation with her if you see something that you think is different with your background, and then come back and bring it to the board. Maybe there's something out there that we're not seeing, and that's one of the reasons why we have this diverse board. And I love your background. So if you could come up with anything that you think would be good and work with Marty on that and come back to the board, I think that's great. How does everybody else feel?
I'm okay.
Yeah, it's a small board. One of the problems with that board is it's a small board. So.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, even if you just put lettering, visit Welcome Center, I still think go with our Welcome Center, so, because I think it's just so close to Trinidad. If they're not getting off, they're not getting off.
Yeah.
Hey, I just got another suggestion, you know, being that we were talking about that Highway of Legends sign, if there's a way that you guys could take it over and then change all the, you know, what you're currently talking to, put it on that billboard.
Right.
It's a little bit further out.
Sure. Hey, if that board's been there for a time, if the Highway of Legends don't know anything about it, someone has got to know. Someone's got to be paying for it yearly.
Yeah. The background on that small board, and for the board to know, is the city of Trinidad used to negotiate with that Outlook or whatever the board company is now. On the sign right after that small sign, there's a huge sign that says only 70 miles ahead, and it's the Colorado city sign, and eat at that place. And that used to be the city of Trinidad sign, and at one point that lapsed, and so that small sign was like the precursor to the big sign, and instead those people up north grabbed that sign. So now it's really horrible that right before the turnoffs to our community and this happened like 5 years ago, the turnoffs to our community now forward for just another hour, and then you got it made. And so it's really hard. So one of the reasons that I know that people that have been on the board haven't wanted to let go of that little sign is because they're scared it would also say, and you can go river rafting right next to the sign too. So people just completely miss our town. So if, you know, by Marty looking at what signs are available, maybe something is going to, you know, drop off here of a bigger sign that we could grab, or then negotiate that, since her skills are so great. Why don't we let her talk to the sign company, see what's out there, and then Chris, with your advertising and marketing background, maybe, you know, tell you what's available too and bring that back to the board. But it would be really great to have one of those big signs coming into town instead of just that little sign. And that's the reason why it's always been, as far as I know, and I mean a long time, 20 years maybe, that small sign has been for the Welcome Center. It has been advertisement for the trolley. It has been an advertisement for the Welcome Center. Let's just stir that up a little bit, Marty, and let's look at the different venues, okay?
Okay, I will do that.
Okay, thanks everybody. Okay, announcements. Oh, entertainment request.
Okay, so the Entertainment District Board has been reestablished for 2021. On that board right now is Kurt Wallach from the Trinidad Lounge, Nancy Lackey from Moose's, Teddy and Brian from the Smokehouse. And so they're currently looking at events for 2021, and who's going to be utilizing the entertainment district for those events. So one of the things that they discussed in the last meeting was one of the requirements by the state for the entertainment district is they are required to have cups that are certain sizes, and that they have to have printing on them for each of those liquor establishments within that entertainment district. So in the past, the only event that's been held in the entertainment district has been Trinidadio. So the Blues Fest folks, and Camilla might be able to speak a little bit more about this, has purchased the cups, and the city has pitched in and helped purchase the cups, etc. But every business, every liquor establishment has their own cups with their own names on them. It's required by the state. So one of the ideas that one of the board members had was to have the cups donated by the vendor, who would probably be like Standard, I think is who usually does it, which is Budweiser. And they give you cups to sell your alcohol in for outside events and things like that. If to save costs for the entertainment district, which does not have a budget at all, so all the costs that are associated with the entertainment, that are incurred by the entertainment district, are kind of absorbed by each of those establishments. So to help with that cost, they asked if they could just print stickers and have those printed, like maybe at NV Designs or Cedar Street Printing, and have them adhered to the cups, and if that would meet the requirements of the state, and it does. So one of the other questions that they came up with was if the tourism board would be able to help finance the cost of printing those stickers. That's it in a nutshell.
Boy, that would be a good, but our little QR code, if we had it, that we were talking about earlier, on every one of those stickers, that, you know, then that's all it would have, and they could shine it, boom.
So long as we're included in that sticker, I think that's the bread and butter of the tourism board, is events that bring people to our city. And I'm all for supporting that. What part of the budget does that come out of? Would that be like an advertising cost, or would that be something that you apply in a grant for, or no?
Most likely, yes.
Okay. I think that I'm all for it. I think that that's something we should support. That's something we can help them with. And it obviously brings tourism to our cities.
And yeah, thanks, Amanda. I agree with you. That's fantastic. Could you tell us, Marty, the area again of the entertainment district from corner to corner where it stretches?
So
You have
the western border would be on Anima Street, where Moose's is located. So around that area, it extends all the way down Commercial Street to La Puerta area. It extends east as far as Linden to encompass what used to be the smokehouse area. So within those boundaries are Flojo's Tavern, Reno's, Walter's, Moose's, Trinidad Smokehouse, Tease Me Treat Me, Danielson's, and I think that's and the Trinidad Lounge.
Yeah, that's
So
a
all of those,
area.
right. All of those are actually within the entertainment district. Now keep in mind, when there's an event, you can't close that entire perimeter. You would only close the area around where that event is being held, and it would encompass those liquor establishments within that area. Never at any time could you actually shut down the entire heart of the city for which would be the entertainment district for any event. You just close down, and they have to be hard barriers to keep, the alcohol within those borders.
Right. No, so this is a work session, so we can't vote on the printing for stickers, but it sounds to me like there's a lot of support on the board. Is that correct? Is anybody against that?
no.
Do we have a rough idea of the cost?
No, we don't. I was just putting feelers out there to see if the tourism board would be amenable to the idea. So I can report back to them and tell them that they would need to apply for to fill out a grant application and apply through that process. And then we'll have all the numbers.
I would love personally to see a QR code for the City of Trinidad's tourism site on all those stickers. So people would be walking
If we
around.
do that, and it's our logo, do we really have to have them do a grant?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Marty, can you whip up one of those QR codes real quick this afternoon?
I'm on it, Chris. I'll get that done right now.
Hey, you know what, Marty?
My magic.
I do think somewhere there was a QR code made, and maybe the Chronicle News would remember, but I thought there was a QR code made for some reason, for our site. And maybe our site changed. Maybe that's our old site. But, our site is so pretty, and you do such a great job maintaining it. But people forget now to actually sit down and Google our site versus Googling where to eat, what to do, where it is to, and a QR code that would bring up our site for people walking around with cups. I'm seeing them hit their phone on the QR code and bringing up our site would be a fun little extra advertising for Trinidad.
Yep.
I agree.
They're not hard to develop. They're really not.
No.
We can get one done right away.
Well, and now people recognize, they see that, they immediately know. I mean, you can walk in Walmart and get a QR code on, up every aisle. So, I mean, people do know what they are now. I think we should use it on everything printed.
Yeah. Okay, great, guys. Okay, outdoor recreation coordinator.
Okay, so just for your information, the city has hired an outdoor recreation coordinator. He will begin on February the 1st, and his name is Jared Chatterley. I don't know if any of you know him. Right now he is working with the Raton Recreation Department. You might have seen him at the Aquatic Center in Raton. Everybody's real excited about what Jared's going to bring to the table as far as outdoor recreation, because he's had that connection with our area for quite some time. I work with him on the Santa Fe Trail Bicentennial Planning Committee, and it seems to be a good thing. Mayor, did you have something to say about this?
Well, you know, that is something that they've been asking for, the Parks and Rec Commission, that we try to do. And of course, this past year, we budgeted for this year the recreation director. And I think it's really needed with all the recreational activities that we're going to have. And then, of course, in conjunction with tourism and, you know, some of the other boards, he's going to be a busy person, I believe. So I think it's just, if we're going to build on our recreation in this community and the area, I think it's essential that we have someone like him on board.
No, thanks, Mayor, and thanks for hiring him. I don't know enough about him besides Raton. Do we have any other background on him?
I've not seen anything as far as his background, like I said, because you know, that was Mike's and staff's, actually Mike's decision. They did the interviews, like I said, as far as employees being hired and terminated, that is something that the council does not get involved with. All we do is see the results, and then he'll be introduced to us, I'm sure, this next meeting that we got next Tuesday, and we'll probably hear a little bit more about him. But hopefully, Mike, I'm sure he's done a good job of vetting as to what his capabilities are, and it sounds like Mike was very high on him, so hopefully he'll do a good job for us.
Well, that's such a congratulations to our city mayor. What a boost for tourism is to have somebody dedicated to that outdoor area. Thank you. That really, I mean, you know, being organized in our outdoor recreation right now is so important with all that the city's doing.
Well, you know, the big thing too is that, you know, some of these activities, you know, in some regard have been trying to be handled by other departments. And we're at the point now that we need to be able to diversify some of the work that's out there to particular departments. And just like we also have, Mike's been trying to find a planner. And so, you know, we need to get situated to where we're able to have people in the right places to do the work necessary and not overload the current administration that we have.
Right. Thank you so much.
So that being said, Mr. Chatterley's office will be here at the Welcome Center. I am welcoming him as my new cellmate up here upstairs.
Wow.
So.
Does he bring a fireman's pole with him?
No, but I'm talking to him about, I told him he needs to put in an elevator for you, Chris.
Elevator would be nice. There you go.
But on the other hand, I'm still working on that new Welcome Center out at Exit 11, so we won't need that fireman's pole if we get this new Welcome Center. Did you hear that, Mayor? New Welcome Center at Exit 11.
I hear you.
Yeah, every time I drive by there, I think how nice that would be out there.
I stood on the property the other day, just letting you know. If you stand on that piece of property that I have identified as where the Welcome Center should be located, if you look straight ahead where the front doors would be, where I-25 is, you have a beautiful view of Fisher's Peak. If you turn to your left, you have a beautiful view of the Sangre de Cristo Range. And Si, you know this from your balcony right there at La Quinta. And if you look to the north, you see the Spanish Peaks. The views from this spot are just amazing. And the parking that would be available, and it's all flat and it's beautiful, and yeah, we really need to do this.
Good for you, Marty.
I love passion. You know me, I love passion.
Hey, Marty, is that on the west side or the east side of the highway?
It is on the same side right next door to where the Quality Inn is.
Okay.
Where those concrete abutments are going towards Starkville.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Does
And
this
so,
board ever take do we ever take field trips?
Well, we used to in the old days, before COVID, we used to have some trips that were tourism related so that the board would be able to, you know, educate themselves and bond more and learn together. But since COVID, we haven't had that luxury.
I was actually fishing for the opportunity to get some kind of a tour of what is available at Fisher's Peak, and then maybe see the site that you're looking at to see if we can lobby a little bit more for Marty.
You know, Marty, years ago, that piece of property was landlocked because those guys that used to own that property that's south of Tequila's, that hotel, remember the two brothers? They bought it so that it would be worth something to them in the future, and then one guy died. Who's got that property now?
Actually, one of my volunteers, I don't know the name. So one of my volunteers, and I'm not allowed to give her name either because she wants to keep this quite secret, contacted the owner of that property when I mentioned it to her, and she said that he most definitely would sell it to the city to put a welcome center on there. He thinks that would be a great use of that property. And I told her, I said, well, you tell him to hold on to that and not sell it, because that area is going to be prime real estate. Once Fisher's Peak starts ramping up, people are going to be looking at that piece of property, and it's going to be valuable. So if we're going to snatch up that piece of property, it needs to be now.
So right now, that property is sitting in the county. That's right by the line. So, you know, we have to start looking at that and maybe extending. I don't know. I mean, none of this that we're talking about is hard. It's just talk,
Right.
You know. But to extend that area to be city limits.
Right.
Yeah, that would probably have to take an annexation of that property.
And I found the blueprints for the original welcome center, so we can build a duplicate just a little bit bigger, so we can put a Starbucks in it.
Oh, you're good.
Well, that's not a bad idea. That would also be another reason for people to stop, you know. So,
Yeah.
how do we get something like that started, Mayor?
Well, first of all, I think the biggest obstacle, of course, there is some money, from what I understand, through the state tourism to help fund. I'm not sure if it's still there with the COVID-19, but talking to Kathy Ritter last year or year before, like whenever it was, there might be some money available. Just have to run it by Mike and see what he thinks, see if it's doable, see if that's something. Then, of course, have to get input from you guys. So there's some other possibilities. So that would probably be the first conversation that would have to take place, and then you'd have to run it by council to see if council is amenable to it, and how it would enhance, you know, the city of Trinidad. That's what we would take into consideration. Which sounds like a good idea.
Well, boy, I tell you, taking advantage of Fisher's Peak and that whole thing because of the newness and the awesomeness and everything else, and having that center up there, I think we should at least start taking the steps to see if the interest is there if the council would be amenable to it. I don't know what we do, if that's something Marty can do, she's the city, or if it's something, you know, Tom needs to kind of take the ball and roll with it, or how we do that.
I would probably recommend that Marty and Tom probably sit with Mike and run it by him. I'm going to try to set up a meeting with Mike tomorrow, and I have a one-on-one with him periodically, and I'll go ahead and I'll kind of mention that to him and see if what his thoughts are, and then you guys can contact him and get some additional information from him.
There you go, Marty. We're ready.
Okay,
I'm ready.
revisit the street banners. And Tom's not here, but let's revisit them anyway and let him know. So, what, do you have any update on any street banners, Marty, or?
No, I haven't. I didn't take it any further because we hadn't, I put it on the agenda a couple of times and no action was taken. So it's one of those balls that kind of got dropped. And when talking to my office the other day, he said, whatever happened to the street banners? And I said, I don't know. The conversation never went anywhere. So we talked a little bit about, you know, what would be on those banners. I explained to you what the cost would be if you printed multiple designs versus just printing one design. I contacted the city to see if we still had any of the hardware, the old hardware that was used for those banners. And that was when Tom Beach was here, and he said, no, he couldn't find that hardware. So it kind of batted back and forth a little bit, but no decisions were actually made to move forward with street banners. So he wanted to put it back on the agenda.
Well, Chris, you weren't on the board. Amanda, I don't know if you were on the board, but Marty did a lot of work already, and maybe you could find that work. Marty, presenting us with a guides on what we could do for street banners. So in our conversation on that, when we did discuss about it, we thought we would have like one street banner that said Fisher's Peak, one street banner that said the Wormhole Loop, one street banner that said Monument Lake, one street banner that said the Trinidad Golf Course, one street banner that said, and so it would be an education if you were walking along the streets about the amenities that sit within the city limits and around the city limits for recreation, indoor, outdoor, anything that was, there might be an architecture one on, and then that wasn't continued. So if Marty could find that information that you sent to us and resend it out to the group, and let's talk about it at the next meeting, because I do still think it's a good idea. Tom did put it back on because it had gotten dropped in the middle of COVID, and let's revisit that. Any input with that, guys?
Yeah, you're talking about banners across the streets, right?
Banners on the street poles themselves.
On the street poles.
Yeah. Excellent. If those are done, if they look good, they can also kind of brighten up your streets too. I'm a big believer in those.
That was one of the reasons, is to give the downtown area some color, from October to April. So Marty did work hard on that. I remember seeing all that material. If she could bring that back up again, Marty, you probably have it, right? And resend it back to us.
Marty, you froze.
I did. So I missed that last little bit of conversation. What was that?
It was just that I know that you did all that groundwork already. If you could find that groundwork that you sent to us all before COVID happened, and let's revisit that to make that happen. And we can.
Okay, I'll get it all together and send it out to you so you can review it, and then I'll put it on the next work session agenda for further discussion.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Other discussion as needed. Amanda, is there anything else you'd like to bring up today?
Not today. I'm sure you guys all know, obviously the restaurant's been closed for January, and we will be closing in February as well. We'll be opening March 1st, but I do want to let you guys know that my family plans to sell Bob and Earl's Cafe. It just has become a very burdensome thing for my grandfather. And as I'm growing older and moving further into my adult life, I miss teaching, and I think that's where I need to get back to. And so I want you guys to be the first ones to know. We don't really know the specifics about anything yet, but that is kind of an update on what's going on in my world. So.
And Amanda, I hope that you stay in Trinidad, because the kids that get you will be so lucky.
I agree with that, Amanda.
I love kids. I miss them so much. I miss being around them and the lightness and their inquisitiveness. So I know that that's what I'm meant to do, and I appreciate that. So I thank you. I do plan on staying, and I don't know how soon we're going to be able to get this done, but if I can be back in the classroom by the fall, I will be very happy.
Wonderful. Thanks, Amanda, and thanks for everything you've done for you've really.
Good luck and congratulations, whatever you choose to do.
Chris, is there any other discussion that you'd like to talk about today?
I think I managed to squeeze it all in.
Great, thank you. Camilla, is there any other discussion?
No, thank you all.
And Mayor, is there anything else you'd like to say to all of us?
No, I just continue to say that you guys, I think, have a good, solid commission, and you guys are doing a good job.
Thank you, Mayor. We
Thank you.
appreciate that. Marty, is there anything else that we should talk about?
No, but I did want to make one more quick announcement. I've been, as you know, I have proposed the idea of using the Welcome Center to sell some retail merchandise. That it was approved by Mike in our last meeting. I met with Cheryl, our finance director, to find out exactly what we needed to do this. We have be filing with the Secretary of State and getting business licenses and stuff in hand. Working with Camilla on, vendors and so forth on where to purchase merchandise. And we have, I went into Bell's when they were closing their doors and bought a lot of their like racks and tables and stuff like that at a really, really cheap price. So I have all that stuff ready to go. We're ready to rock and roll. We'll start ordering merchandise soon. So probably by the end of February, we will have the Welcome Center travel shop up and running. And we can make some money for the tourism board.
Well, that's something to advertise.
Which we found out. So, which is something we could actually do. I had to go through some legal paperwork and stuff to find out if this is actually something that we could do, and found it was all possible. We got the blessing from the Colorado Tourism Office at the state level, and I think it's kind of exciting that we will have. I talked to some of the other merchants in town about whether or not I would be stepping on anybody's toes by selling tourism type merchandise, and everybody said gave me their blessing and said go for it. So just letting you know, by the end of February we should have some actual tourism merchandise. We'll have some Fisher's Peak t-shirts, we'll have Trinidad bricks, we'll have lots of our own local merchandise here. So I think it's kind of exciting.
I'm excited.
Excellent.
I'm excited.
Wonderful. Thank you, Marty.
Every time we put Fisher's Peak or Trinidad's name out there and somebody's wearing a shirt in Missouri, it's advertisement for us. So I'm really excited about that. It also gives us justification for road signs. Another thing, because people, I get what Chris is saying a little bit. People don't always stop at welcome centers anymore, but they do if you have merchandise, because they want Colorado merchandise.
Or if they just want to use a restroom. Right, Marty? Yeah.
And they use the restroom, believe me.
Yeah, they do.
But we have a reputation. Let me tell you, we have the cleanest restrooms of any welcome center in the entire state, south in Texas, east to Oklahoma. Ours are the cleanest and the best welcome center everywhere. Just letting you know.
Okay, and that new welcome center, you'll have a Starbucks.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to tell Daphne Atkins runs the visitors deal for the state of Texas in the Panhandle, and I'm going to tell her you challenged her to, clean bathrooms. So
All right.
get some competition going between here and Texas. So.
Yeah, that's a good
That's all
conversation.
I had. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
This conference is no